Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to sift through sources, pull out the key insights, and, well, basically do the fascinating homework for you. Today, we are diving deep into ancient Egypt, focusing on one of its most famous and honestly most mysterious figures, Queen Nefertiti. You absolutely know the image, that incredible bust, the calm face, that long neck, the unique blue crown. It's everywhere.
A global symbol of beauty.
Yeah. But despite how famous that face is, so much about her actual life and especially what happened to her, it's still a huge mystery.
It really is. And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to explore her time with Akhenaten, this really radical reign they had. Then we'll try to unravel the mystery of her disappearance, look into the often frustrating search for her tomb, and finally try to understand why she still fascinates us so much today, her legacy. We're drawing on historical accounts, the latest archaeology, and yeah, you'll hear some conflicting theories. We'll unpack those as we go.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Who was Nefertiti? Well, she was a queen of the 18th dynasty, the great royal wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten. And her name, Nefertiti, it means the beautiful one has come, which is pretty fitting, right? Though we say Nefertiti, apparently it might have sounded more like Neftita or maybe Nefertiti back then.
Mm-hmm. And you have to remember the context.
Right.
This was arguably the wealthiest period in all of ancient Egyptian history. The power, the resources, immense.
So they had the means to do big things.
Exactly. But the real revolution wasn't just wealth, it was ideological. They completely overhauled the state religion, introduced Atonism. It's focused on the sun disk, the Aten, and it's often called the earliest form of monotheism we know about. Worship was channeled directly through the royal family. This wasn't just, favoring a different god. It shook the foundations.
And Nefertiti's role in all this?
Oh, it was unprecedented. Really. She wasn't just a queen. Look at the monuments, the reliefs. She's shown just as prominently as Akhenaten, sometimes even more so. There are depictions of her smiting Egypt's enemies. That's usually the king's job.
Smiting enemies? Wow.
Yeah, and images of captives decorating her throne. She wears the war crown, a symbol of military power. And maybe most telling, she's shown alone, making offerings directly to the Anat. Again, usually only the pharaoh did that. Even her name in its cartouche, that oval shape. It was often joined with Akhenaten's, signifying equality.
Incredible. A queen with that kind of overt power is, well, it's really something for that era. And it all centered around their new capital city, right?
Akhetana, modern Amarna.
Built from scratch, out in the desert.
Exactly. It was the heart of their religious vision. Big open-air temples for sun worship.
And didn't they have these daily processions in chariots?
They did, like mirroring the sun's journey across the sky. It sort of reinforced this idea that they were almost divine beings themselves.
A whole new world they were building.
They had family there. 6 known daughters. Meritaten, Meketaten, Ankhesenpaten, she's the one who later married Tutankhamun, became Ankhesenamun. Then Neferneferuaten Tasheret, Neferneferu, and Sitapenre. But it's important to note, despite what people used to think, genetic testing on mummies has shown Nefertiti was not Tutankhamun's biological mother.
Okay, so she's this incredibly powerful queen, central to this religious revolution, and then suddenly, nothing.
Pretty much. Around year 12 of Akhenaten's reign, she just vanishes from the historical record.
She's gone.
Gone. It's abrupt.
Jarring, really.
So what did people think happened before we had more evidence?
Well, for years, the theories were all over the place. Did she fall out of favor? Maybe because she didn't have a son? Or was it illness, an accident, plague? Natural causes. Some even suggested suicide, perhaps grief over their daughter Meketaten, who died around year 13 or 14. There was also this idea she'd been disgraced based on some erased monuments, but that was later debunked. Turns out those erasures referred to Kia, another lesser wife of Akhenaten, not Nefertiti. Right, so the disgrace theory was out?
Essentially, yes, which made her disappearance even more mysterious.
Until 2012, that quarry inscription.
Exactly, a game changer. Found in Quarry 320 at Deir Abu Thainis, and it's dated very precisely. Year 16, 3rd month of Akhet, day 15 of Akhenaten's reign.
And it mentions her by name.
Explicitly. Great royal wife, his beloved, mistress of the 2 lands, Neferneferuaten Nefertiti.
Wow! So second to last year of his reign.
Correct. Which proves she was alive, still queen, still right there beside Akhenaten, ruling with him. It completely overturns those older ideas about her falling from grace or dying early.
Okay, so if she didn't disappear early, what did happen? How does this connect to that mysterious female pharaoh Nefertiti?
Oh, well, this is where it gets really interesting. That inscription shifts the whole timeline. The leading theory now is that Nefertiti didn't just disappear. She may have actually ruled Egypt herself.
Very briefly.
As this female pharaoh Nefertiti after Akhenaten died, but before Tutankhamun took the throne.
Ruling as pharaoh.
Potentially, yes. This pharaoh, Nefertiti, used a specific epithet, effective for her husband. The main candidates for who this could be are Nefertiti, or maybe her eldest daughter, Meritati.
What points towards Nefertiti?
Well, there's supporting evidence. Things like Ushabti figures those little funerary statues made for a female pharaoh found in Tutankhamun's tomb. And remember those depictions of Nefertiti smiting enemies, acting like a king. That adds weight to the idea she could have taken on that role.
What about the other theory, that she disguised herself as a man, as Smenkar?
That one's considered less likely now. Smenkar is generally thought to have been a separate co-regent, probably male, who likely died before this female pharaoh Nefertiti came to power.
So, if Nefertiti was this pharaoh Nefertiti, what was her reign like?
Probably quite tumultuous. It seems her reign, if it happened, coincided with the decline and abandonment of Amarna. The capital would have moved back to Thebes. A return towards the old ways was beginning. Her influence, or Nefertiti's influence, seems to end around year 3 of Tutankhamun's reign. That's around 1331 BC. That's when he changed his name to Tutankhamun, fully signaling the restoration of the old gods.
Okay, so her potential rule was short, transitional, but it still leaves the massive question, where is she buried? We found Tutankhamun's tomb famously intact, but Nefertiti's still missing.
It's one of the great remaining mysteries of Egyptology, absolutely. The original plan, according to the boundary stelae, those big marker stones at Amarna, was for her to be buried in the royal tomb there with Akhenaten.
But that probably didn't happen.
Unlikely. Akhenaten seems to have died first. Plus, Amarna was abandoned. There's another unfinished tomb at Amarna, Tomb 29, that looks like it was started just for her. But weirdly, it doesn't have a burial chamber, so probably not there either.
Which leads us to the modern search. Lots of excitement, some dead ends.
Definitely. You might remember the big buzz back in 2015.
Oh yeah, Nicholas Reeve's theory about hidden chambers in Tutankhamun's tomb.
Exactly. He used high-res scans of the tomb walls and saw what looked like outlines of sealed doorways. He proposed that maybe Tutankhamun's tomb was just the antechamber to a larger hidden tomb behind the walls, Nefertiti's tomb.
That would have been incredible. Tutankhamun died young, unexpectedly. Maybe they had to reuse part of her tomb for him.
That was the idea. It generated huge excitement. But
the follow-up radar scans didn't find anything, right?
Unfortunately, no. Several ground-penetrating radar surveys were done, and the results were either inconclusive or showed no evidence of hidden chambers. So that specific theory, as tantalizing as it was, is pretty much off the table for now.
Another near miss. It just adds to the mystery.
It does. And the search for her actual mummy has been just as complex. Remember, back in 1898, they found 2 unidentified female mummies in KV-35, the tomb of Amenhotep II. They called them the Elder Lady and the Younger Lady.
And people thought one might be Nefertiti.
For a long time, yes. The Elder Lady was suggested, but then DNA testing and analysis of a lock of hair found in Tutankhamun's tomb proved she was Queen Tai, Akhenaten's mother.
Okay, so not her. What about the Younger Lady?
Joanne Fletcher proposed that theory back in 2003, but it faced a lot of criticism from other Egyptologists. And subsequent CT scans and, crucially, DNA analysis confirmed the Younger Lady is Tutankhamun's biological mother.
But not Nefertiti.
No. She's an unnamed daughter of Amenhotep III and Queen Tai, so Akhenaten's sister, actually.
Wow. Okay, so those 2 famous mummies are out. Any other candidates?
There's a mummy known as KV-21b, found in tomb KV-21. She's thought to be an 18th dynasty royal, died around age 45. Her left arm is bent in that typical queenly pose across the chest. DNA testing so far has been inconclusive, but she was found near another mummy, tentatively identified as Ankhesenomon, Nefertiti's daughter, so maybe. It's still very uncertain.
The search continues. Let's switch gears slightly. There's another really intriguing piece of the puzzle, the Hittite letters.
Ah, yes. The deeds of Sinaluliuma, found way up in Hattusa, the Hittite capital in modern Turkey.
Gives us a real glimpse into the politics of the time.
It really does. The text recounts this extraordinary letter the Hittite king Suppiluliuma received from an Egyptian queen. They called her Dakamunzu, which is just Hittite for the king's wife.
And the letter itself is just stunning.
It is. She writes, "My husband has died and I have no son. They say about you that you have many sons. You might give me one of your sons to become my husband." And she adds, "I would not wish to take one of my subjects as a husband, I'm afraid."
Taking a foreign prince as pharaoh, that was unheard of, right?
Absolutely. New Kingdom royal women just did not marry foreigners, let alone put them on the throne. Suppilulium himself was apparently shocked. The text says he exclaimed, "Nothing like this has happened to me in my entire life." He was cautious, sent envoys to check it out. Eventually, he did send one of his sons, Sananza, but the prince died on the way to Egypt, maybe murdered to prevent the marriage.
What a story. Political intrigue, desperation. But who was this queen, Dakamunzu?
That's the million-dollar question. The main candidates have always been Nefertiti, her daughter Meritaten, or her other daughter Ankhesenamun, Tutankhamun's widow.
Ankhesenamun seemed like a strong possibility for a while, right? After Tutankhamun died without an heir.
Yes, that was the prevailing theory. But recently, Egyptologists have reevaluated the reign length of Horemheb, the pharaoh who came after Ai, who followed Tutankhamun. If Horemheb's reign was shorter, it makes it more likely that the husband who died was Akhenaten, not Tutankhamun.
Which puts Nefertiti back in the picture.
Exactly. Nicholas Reeves, who proposed the hidden tomb theory, also argues Nefertiti fits Dakamunzu well. Think about her power shown in monuments smiting enemies like a king. And that line, "I would not wish to take one of my subjects."
Who could she mean? Someone like Ai, the Grand Vizier who eventually became pharaoh.
Precisely. Or maybe another relative from a secondary branch of the royal family. It suggests a queen powerful enough to consider such a radical move and worried about rivals at home. Nefertiti fits that profile.
Fascinating. It all circles back to her power and then the mystery. Let's return to something concrete, though. That famous bust.
Discovered in 1912 by Ludwig Borchardt. Found in the workshop of the sculptor Thutmose at Amarna, now in Berlin's new museum.
And the bust itself. Limestone core covered in painted stucco or gypsum plaster.
Right. And that one inlaid eye, rock crystal, with black wax for the pupil. The other eye socket is empty, never finished.
Which tells us something important, doesn't it?
It does. The fact it wasn't finished, found in the workshop. It suggests it was a master sculptor's model, probably used for apprentices to copy, not intended for actual display.
Explains the missing eye, but its preservation is just incredible. The colors, the fine detail.
It's remarkably lifelike, but its location in Berlin, that's been controversial for a long time.
The ownership dispute between Egypt and Germany?
Yes, it's quite heated. Germany argues Borchardt found it legally, and it was assigned to the German team during the division of fines, which was standard practice then.
But Egypt's claim?
Egypt, often voiced by figures like Zahi Hawass, argues that Borchardt might have downplayed its significance, perhaps even disguised it, maybe covering it partially with mud, so it wouldn't be recognized as such a unique masterpiece and would be allowed to leave Egypt. There are even stories, though perhaps apocryphal, that Hitler refused to return it before World War II because he admired it so much.
Then didn't it cause another stir more recently?
In 2003, yeah. The Berlin Museum allowed an art installation where the bust was placed on top of a bare bronze statue of a woman's body. That caused quite an uproar in Egypt and renewed calls for its repatriation.
So it remains a point of contention, but putting the controversies aside for a moment, what's her lasting impact?
Well, despite all the unknowns, all the debates, her image endures as this global icon of beauty, of course, but also of power. She occupies this unique space in Egyptian history. A queen with really unparalleled influence right at the heart of this dramatic revolutionary period. The art, the religion, it was short-lived, but so distinct. And she's forever linked to it. You see her pop up in films, books, TV. Her face is just instantly recognizable. She continues to capture the imagination.
So she starts as this powerful queen, co-ruler of a religious revolution, then becomes this figure of mystery, maybe even roles as pharaoh herself. It's quite a story.
It really is. And that face, whether it's the bust or the glimpses we get from ancient reliefs, it just keeps posing questions, doesn't it? Questions about power, about how history gets written or erased, about what truth really means when we look back thousands of years. And you just have to wonder, what else might still be hidden under the sands, waiting to tell us more about her?
It definitely makes you think. How many other figures from history have stories we only know part of? How much is still out there, waiting to be uncovered, waiting for its own deep dive?